without further ado, I think let's dive into some Gator Base, right?
Let's talk about Gator Base. What is Gator Base?
What is Gator Base? Well, Gator Base is a panel that's made out of expanded polypropylene foam.
Sounds fancy.
It does sound pretty fancy and complicated, but it's really not. It's effectively a large sheet of foam, very rigid, very dense, very strong, but still flexible, that's going to replace 6 inches of crushed compacted base material as the foundation for your pedestrian paver applications.
And there you see it, a piece of foam taking the place of your fill.
Wow, that sounds crazy, John.
It does sound
a piece
crazy.
of foam takes the place of 6 inches of crushed stone.
We know it works, though.
We do. It's been around for about 8 years. We have thousands and thousands of jobs in across North America, millions and millions of square feet.
Millions of
and they've all been successful installations, which is amazing.
Do we have a piece here we can show, Mike?
We do have a piece here that we can show. So the Gator Base, John.
Gator Base.
Very famous Gator Base.
2 by 3.
Look at that. 2 foot by 3 foot. A little bit less coverage than 6 square feet because of that interlocking edge, but that interlocking edge is very important, as we'll show you a little bit later. So I'm going to put this down right by Penelope, our studio dog, and we'll get a close-up on this sheet. But you can see that there are quite a few different features to this, right? We've got all these lines running across it. And what are those lines for, John?
So those lines are going to help us for drainage. There's a degree of a slope there that go into those holes, and they're going to help with drainage.
Yep, so we move water laterally across the panel and then through these holes to the subgrade and subsurface below. And then as far as the locking edges go, John, big deal or just fancy marketing gimmick?
Very big deal. Holds the panels together like a click-together floor.
Yep. You know, you don't want panels that are unstable underneath your feet as you're trying to work. That lock and go, tongue and groove edge really makes a big difference there.
You don't want them sliding when you're walking on them.
You know, with the wind blowing, lifting them up. So definitely big benefits there. And we talked about how it's rigid, yet still flexible, right? I can bend that. And wow, look at that. It's not snapping, but it is very strong and very dense material. So great properties to the Gator Base panel. All right. So we talked about what it does, a little bit about the panel itself. Now, I heard that one Gator Base panel is equal to 288 pounds of crushed stone. Is that true?
288 pounds of fill.
Yeah, it's like you and me combined.
This panel right here, 288 pounds. Strong man, look at me. I can do that.
All right, visually, what's that look like? I'd like to see you do that with all those wheelbarrows of stone.
No kidding. That's a lot of stone.
Keep you busy. What would you rather carry? 5 Gator Base units or 10, 12 wheelbarrows full of stone,
on my shoulder,
right?
And watch me go all day long.
And that's how your laborers are going to feel. And that's how your job's going to flow. It's just a lot easier, a lot faster.
So, you know, we said this isn't something brand new.
It's not brand new. It's been around for a long time. In fact, we didn't just sit there and say, hey, let's put a piece of foam underneath pavers, right?
This has been used for a long time now.
And the whole idea behind it is load transfer. So we're getting great load transfer out of this panel. Pavers distribute the load to each other, you know, spread that out, and then the Gator Base will spread that out over a larger area. So take a look at that picture.
Just like a paver would, disperses the load.
Exactly, exactly. So this picture here shows that load being dispersed to the soils below. So, hey, even if you have someone that's a couple 100 pounds standing on one 12 by 12 paver, the ground is not seeing that much of a dead load. You know, any soils can support that walking load, that dynamic load on Gator Base.
Fantastic.
All right. So we talked a little bit about how we didn't just come up with this out of the blue, right?
Right. So history-wise, if you go back with foam blocks, big geofoam pieces, they've been used for heavy highway construction for decades now.
Right, since the 1970s. And this, you know, started out on a much larger scale than your backyard patio.
Big 6-foot, 10-foot blocks, used as fill, used as stabilization where you couldn't get good compaction.
Right.
Bridge abutments.
Yep. So take a look at this picture real quick. I mean, it shows you some serious construction projects where large geofoam blocks are being used to support highways and the approaches to bridges and overpasses. So the idea is certainly scientifically and sound in engineering principle, John.
Yeah, also fantastic way to cover utility.
Yeah,
you know,
certainly. All right, so Gator Base panel. Tough, durable, rigid expanded polypropylene. It spreads that load out, replaces 6 inches of crushed compacted stone. But what's the benefit to the contractor? You know, what's the whole idea behind Gator Base?
Time and money. Time is money.
Well, especially these days, right?
Right.
2021 was crazy. 2022 is shaping up to be just as busy.
Hard to find good labor.
Almost impossible,
Yep.
right? You hire a guy and he probably shows up late on his first day of work, right?
Right.
Gator Base will always be there for you.
Yes, it will. We've
All
got
right.
it.
So to start off a Gator Base job, it's the same as any other job, right? We need to dig a hole.
Sure, but not as big a hole.
Right. Instead of having to go down 8 inches to accommodate 6 inches of crushed compacted stone, our excavation is only going to be about 4 inches.
Sure, with a typical paver, we're going about 4 inches.
So that's half the depth. That's pretty darn good, right?
Right.
That means that I'm not digging out all of that soil. I'm not bringing in all that crushed stone. I'm not compacting all those lifts of crushed stone. So a lot of different benefits, right?
Right. We don't have a truck on the road. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So let's take a look at what our excavation looks like. So if we can get Penelope to go chase someone else, hey, go see Rick. All right. So, I started digging and I found a buried electric line.
Don't worry. We can go over that.
Yeah, Gator Base. We don't need to dig down that far, right? So, fantastic. Our initial excavation needs to be about 4 inches. So when we dig down that 4 inches, we're going to need to make sure our excavation is pretty uniform, pitched off the same way as our final surface will be pitched, right? We definitely want a plus or minus 3/8 inch tolerance like
Right.
ICPI suggests. And then we're going to compact our native soils.
Right.
So
One thing, when a contractor gets into this that we often see, probably the first misstep, over excavation.
over excavation. I agree with that. I've
Yep.
had plenty of contractors. They're doing their first Gator Base job. I'm going to go out and help them. I tell them, get it excavated and prepped, and
Yep.
I'll come help you lay the Gator Base. And when I get there, there's a hole
There's fill.
6-8 inches deep.
Yes. Right.
So that defeats the purpose of Gator Base. In a lot of cases, 4 inches is only removing the soil, the sod
Yep.
and the root matter, the organic material right at the surface.
Very simple excavation.
So very, very easy, but pay a little bit more attention to that slope and your tolerances. So plus or minus 3/8 of an inch, in 10 feet, you shouldn't be able to slide a pencil underneath that screed pipe in that 10 feet. Any questions popping through, Rick? What do we got?
I do have a question here. Can it be installed on a sloped walkway, or does it need to be a flat surface?
Well, Gator Base is great for slopes. There's
Certainly.
no reason why you can't use Gator Base on a slope. Gator Base works great for almost any application, but it is going to be most efficient on something that's square, right?
Right.
So your serpentine walkway may not be the most efficient, effective use of Gator Base.
Could be used, but the cuts, you're going to have scraps, so maybe it's not.
But if you have a slope on that walkway, feel free to use Gator Base. Not going
We
to.
wouldn't want more than a 10-degree slope.
Well,
ICPI standards.
anything more than a 10-degree
right?
slope is going to feel like you're on a ship at sea that's
Yeah.
about to keel over,
But
right?
again, ICPI standards.
And that's what it really comes down to. We're still following all those ICPI
Yep.
best practices for excavation, for pitch, 2-degree slope on our project, 2-degree slope on that excavation, proper compaction. But we don't have to dig down as deep. So you may have those cable lines, irrigation lines that you'd have to remove or reroute in a traditional install. Don't need to do that with Gator Base necessarily.
Right.
So we have our initial excavation. What comes after that, John?
Can we answer one more question?
Oh, of course.
What do we
We
have?
love questions.
There is another question regarding frost heaves.
All right. What about them?
This gentleman specifically from New England and wants to know how it works with frost heaves, but I think that question can be answered for everybody in this.
Yeah, I agree. So Gator Base is foam, right?
It is foam.
What does foam do?
Well, it's funny. It's a great insulator, foam is. So especially in the Northeast and those freeze-thaw climates, this is going to work as an insulator on the ground for you.
Right. So an insulator. It's got an R value of 2.83 per inch. Actually, as a 3/4 inch thickness. Now, this Gator Base on the ground is going to protect the soils below from freezing to a certain degree, right, John?
Right. You still could get some freeze-thaw happening. But as you see, once we show you the install, when you have that point source of ice trying to push up, it's pretty hard to move a whole locked-in system, this whole system, this floating floor with stone or pavers on it. It's really hard to move it.
Right. So you have a piece of foam, a whole mat of foam pieces connected, all your pavers on top. That's like a floating floor system,
Yes.
basically. So it is going to tend to minimize the movement and minimize the effect of that movement we've all seen those jobs where there's 6 or 8 pavers that are sinking and dipping in
Right.
or popped up, and you're not going to see that nearly as much with Gator Base. And as far as the number of freeze-thaw cycles that you experience in a season, it should be far less, because that day when it's 40 degrees, hey, afternoon,
Nothing's
40
gonna
degrees right now, but tonight it's going down to 16. That ground probably won't freeze underneath the Gator Base
Right.
because of that insulative value. Now, hey, when it goes down to 16 degrees for 2 weeks at a time, it's all going to freeze.
Sure.
But instead of seeing 50 freeze-thaw cycles in a season, you might see 20 or 25. So the fewer freeze-thaw cycles, the less chance for movement, and then you have that floating floor effect, which will help your project deal better with those over time.
Right. So we've got our excavation.
Yep, got our excavation. We compacted our soil. It's pitched off nicely. Now what do we do?
Well, we're going to put a fabric down for sure.
Well, we have a fabric here.
Oh, look at
Convenient,
that.
right?
We have a fabric.
So I'm going to lay this fabric in. And what are we going to use, John? We're going to use any fabric. Woven fabric's good for strength.
Woven fabrics are good for strength, but we don't want to use a woven fabric for this because we want a free draining fabric. As we said, Gator Base drains. We want the fabric to drain.
Right. Getting water out of a hardscape system is key, right? In a
Yes.
pedestrian residential project, there's really no reason for the strength of a woven fabric.
Right.
This is plenty strong enough. You have the GF 4.4 non-woven fabric.
And keep in mind, this is non-vehicular, so a woven fabric wouldn't be necessary.
Right. So we're going to go for the completely adequate strength of this fabric and fantastic drainage to help evacuate that water through, provide separation between our native soils and our setting bed.
Setting bed.
Setting bed, huh? One last tip on the fabric, though. Make sure you overlap it properly and wrap up the sides of your excavation, sides of a building, curb, and so forth. And as John mentioned, I guess that means we're on to setting bed. So why do we have 2 different setting beds here, John?
Well, we can use a couple different setting beds. So we're going to show a traditional sand setting bed, which will be under our Gator Base, and we're going to show a chipstone setting bed under our Gator Base.
All right, that's fantastic. So like that idea. I noticed that we don't show a stone dust setting bed screenings.
Well, again, let's just go back to those ICPI standards, but stone dust is going to hold water. So we don't want anything that's going to hold water. We want free draining material.
Right. The free draining nature of this system is going to add to its ability to deal better with those freeze-thaw cycles. So that's definitely an important aspect here. So I guess the main idea here is you're not digging as much soil out. You're not trucking it off site. You're not bringing in all that crushed stone and compacting it in lifts. This is very, very easy base prep, right?
Very time-saving standard stuff.
Right. So what are we saving here? Let's throw that clock up here. We got to be saving a couple hours, right?
Look at that. We got
Look
a
at
clock.
that.
Saving time. We
Saving-
just saved you money.
Right? That's the whole idea here. Now we're going to lay some Gator Base down, right? We've got our setting bed. A few key points about this setting bed, though. Needs to be uniform, right?
Right.
We don't want to have an inch of sand on one side and 3 inches of sand on the other side.
Right. This is just a buffer for our Gator Base.
So make sure that your setting bed is uniform. That means that your base prep, your excavation has to be uniform. We have a nice uniform sand setting bed or chip setting bed, and we can go ahead and lay our Gator Base panels down on top of that. So John's going to lay some Gator Base in here. Now the panels go down very quickly. One quick tip is to make sure that all of the Gator faces on that panel line up and are facing in the same direction. So if the Gator faces all line up that we have here, then your panels are all going to line up in the right orientation for that tongue and groove locking edge to fit together. Really makes it easy. You're not standing there twisting and turning these things on the job site.
Also, if someone is feeding you, this goes very quickly as someone's handing you the panels.
So you can get your pieces and panels down very, very quickly, which is great. And once you have your panels down, other one first, John.
Look at that.
Look at that. Once you have your panels down, you have a surface that is protected, right? So if it rains on our setting bed, not a problem. If Penelope decides to walk across our setting bed, not a problem. So
You're
typically,
saying I can walk on this now.
you could walk on that. So you could screen out.
Dance on this.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to dance on it, but
Yeah, I'm not
I'll
much for
walk on it.
dancing either.
I mean, I know I look light and feathery. I get it. Look how light and feathery I look. But yeah, you can walk on. So I am actually walking on our screed layer right now.
So you could stack your pavers up on there, John. You could, lay your pavers much faster. And that's one of the messages that a lot of people miss with the Gator Base. Sure, you're saving a lot of time and money in that excavation phase, right? Only going down 4 inches
Correct.
instead of 8, not bringing in all that crushed stone. But half the benefit to Gator Base is how great a surface it is to work on and lay pavers on.
Saves a lot of time.
It sure does. You know, it's amazing.
And pain.
You don't have to work from the outside in, right? If you're working up against a house and a deck, you can go all the way up to the house and the deck and work your way out.
Yep. Stage wherever you want, work however you want.
Right. You have guys stack pavers on top.
Work a lot smarter.
Pavers are getting larger and larger.
They sure are. We're going to show that.
It's well, these aren't even that big, right? So you get into these 24 by 32 slabs and massive pieces that are tough. And it's hard to even use that vacuum lifting equipment on a sand setting bed because you're stepping in the sand setting bed as you go.
Right. And God forbid you mislay a piece.
Yeah, and then you got to pick it up,
re-screed,
level everything back out. Hope your guy with the trowel is doing a nice job so it's not rocking back and forth.
Right.
So Gator Base makes life a lot easier.
Did we just save some more time?
We just saved some more time. You're right. Let's see that clock.
Take a look at the
more
clock.
Time savings.
Oh, look
Keeps
at that.
rolling along.
More time, more money.
We have any questions yet?
Yes, I do have a question regarding setting bed material.
All right, setting bed material. Go ahead, Rick.
How deep?
How deep?
All right, so anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch. You know, use your 1/2 inch iron pipe or your 3/4 inch iron pipe as your screed bars, just like you normally would, right? We're all used to that. No real change from a traditional installation.
Right.
Just make sure it's uniform, right? Any job, whether it's traditional or Gator Base, you don't want 3 inches of sand on one side and a 1/2 inch on the other because inevitably that side with 3 inches is going to settle more over time and throw off that nice final pitch that you gave your project.
Any other questions?
Regarding natural stone, can you put sand on top of Gator Base to level everything out?
Well, of course you can.
Absolutely. You can feather it. We can screed a little bit of sand under there, get our heights to where we want them. Not an issue.
So if you were using some irregular stone, you can certainly throw a layer of sand on top of the Gator Base and bed your stone in that. If you were doing a Gator Base walkway that was meeting up to a driveway or an existing concrete slab, and you find, I'm a 1/4 inch too low with my pavers at that driveway. What do? You throw a little bit of sand on top and feather your way in and meet those heights up perfectly.
Been there, done that.
Not because he doesn't measure, right? That some other guy's job.
Hey, we were just helping.
All right, so we have our surface down. You can see Penelope's on there. You could screed out an entire job, lay your Gator Base down, and be ready to lay pavers instead of having to screed as you go, John.
Right, so no longer screeding what you do during the day. You can just screed it all out. It could rain overnight, right?
That's right. It could rain on Gator Base, not a problem. You know, leaves that fall on it can just be blown off.
Dog could walk on your sand, wouldn't be good. Look at this. She can sleep on the Gator Base.
Yeah.
We may never get pavers down.
Hopefully we can get her out of the way to put our pavers in, right? All right, let's lay some pavers down, John.
Okay, let's do that.
All right, you want to hand me a few pavers here and we'll see what happens? So what do we have there?
Some big pavers.
Yeah, they're not terrible, but they're definitely sizable enough. So I'm not a big fan of bending over to click and drop these large size pavers all day, right? That's a lot of work to figure out exactly where it's going to go, make sure I drop it in place. It's tough on the back.
How about this?
How about that? Sliding pavers right across Gator Base. I like that, John. So I can slide pavers. You can stack them up if you can get ahead of me and put a pile out there for me to grab from. I can slide them around and move them around. If I need to adjust bond lines, it's very easy to adjust my bond lines here. All right. Keep them coming, John. Keep them coming. Give me that small guy. Let me have that small one. Right? If I end up putting some pavers in and, I decide that I don't like that 4 corners that I'm developing, it's pretty easy to pick them up and start over. I'm still going to have 4 corners. Yeah, we're just selling you Gator Base, though. We're not professional paver installers, right? You'll give us a pass on that? All right. So what else do you have for me?
Let's fill it up.
Let's keep going.
Fill it up.
So nice and easy to slide into place. You don't have to worry about pushing up your setting bed material in between the pavers and throwing off your bond lines. So it is a very nice, easy, quick convenient way to lay pavers. And I think that's really half the benefit of Gator Base is how quickly you can lay pavers on the surface. So again, time savings there, right? We're racking up time on that clock there by getting our pavers down very quickly.
We just save more money.
Yep.
Getting to the next job quicker.
More jobs means more money, right?
What else can we set on Gator Base?
Well, we've had Gator Base for about 8 years now, right?
Mhm.
And we've done a lot of testing through the years, and we are now confident with the performance of Gator Base, its ability to sustain live loads and dead loads, to the point where we can now install a seat wall or a fire pit directly on top of Gator Base.
Pretty slick.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, huh?
Should we put a seat wall down?
Let's put some seat wall
How
down.
big of a seat wall can we do?
We can do a seat wall that's up to 288 pounds per linear foot. So what does that mean? 288 pounds per linear foot means you can do a 12-inch wide by 18-inch seat wall. You could do something that was, 8 inches wide by 24 inches tall. So within that weight limit, you'll certainly be fine. So that applies to a seat wall. That doesn't apply to, hey, put your outdoor kitchen, put your hot tub on Gator Base. That's a little bit too much concentrated dead load. What we're counting on is the ability of the Gator Base to help support that load, right? So we're going to leave at least 12 inches of Gator Base on the outside of that wall. That way we've got Gator Base on both sides, supporting that wall, supporting that fire pit, and preventing it from settling or sinking, right? That load distribution, that snowshoe effect is happening right here with that wall. So
again, also, we want to go past the job. At least that 12 inches, just as ICPI would say, this is our base.
Yep, that's the foundation for our wall. So now you don't have to do the wall and the foundation for the wall separate from your project. It can all be incorporated in one piece. Pretty good. Any questions there, Rick? All right, I think we can keep rolling along.
Sure.
So how would we finish off the outside of that wall, John?
Well, we put some edging there.
Yep, we'd put our Gator edge up against that backside, backfill. We'll show you how that Gator edging connects to the Gator Base on the other side of our project here, though, because we can get a better camera angle on it. So Gator edge, very, very strong, rigid plastic edge material. If we cut all these back braces, we could make this a flexible piece of edge and do a curve, right?
Couple of snips, good to go.
Yep, very, very easy. So do I put spikes in this edge? What do I do?
Well, spikes aren't going to hold.
Yeah, spikes into dirt aren't going to do too much good, right?
Foam either.
Yeah, spikes into foam don't really work too well. So we have the Gator screws, right? Gator screws are pretty cool, John.
Very cool.
We can take a look at this piece right here. We'll let Eric zoom in and get a close-up. But the Gator screws are like an anchor, and they will clamp the Gator edge directly to the Gator base. So you can see how they expand on the bottom, and they will permanently attach that Gator edge to the Gator base, preventing lateral and vertical movement. So
we've got one whole locked in floor system here.
Yep. Now, one of the common complaints with plastic edge comes from those freeze-thaw environments, right? Freeze-thaw movement pushes that plastic edge up.
Right.
You're never going to see that with the Gator screw on the Gator base application.
So I'll never get a call back on the edging.
You'll never get a call back on that edge popping up. So it's quite simple, right?
That sounds like that would save me time.
I think that would save you time, John. Saving more time.
Get that clock back up there. We just saved some more time.
So it's very simple. We simply pop these screws through the edge and use a drill. Screw them in until they clamp to the bottom side.
Do I go about every other?
Yeah, every other. Give you a very, very
one?
robust edge restraint system. Now, that edge is permanently anchored to the Gator base. You got the weight of all the pavers on top of it. All those panels are interlocked. Like you said, it's a completely sound floating floor system made out of concrete pavers.
Right.
All right. So real quick, let's touch on the different ways that you could build a fire pit on Gator Base, right?
Sure.
So you could definitely put your fire pit directly on top of the pavers.
Mhm.
or you could put it directly on top of the Gator Base. We're not concerned about the weight, but we are concerned a little bit about that flame.
The heat, right? So we'd have to put something in there as a buffer.
Right. So you can see we're going to protect the Gator Base from heat using sand, using a metal insert, using fire brick. We need to do something to make sure that the heat goes up and doesn't melt the Gator Base. All right. Pretty good stuff.
Fire pits, walls. I mean, what next with Gator Base? There's
Hey,
no stopping us now.
Let's take it easy, John. Fire pits and walls are a great addition to a Gator Base patio, right? So now we can do
Yes.
walkways, patios, pedestrian applications with those smaller seat walls and fire pits. Natural stone works great with that, sand setting bed if you have irregular heights of materials. And then the other benefit is once we're finished our job, John, we don't have as much cleanup to do,
You
right?
don't have as much cleanup, especially if you didn't drive your machinery around the side of the house and out and back, and you have to fix all the sod and make everything nice again. We don't necessarily have to do that with a Gator Base job.
Yeah, that'd certainly be nice not to be resodding the
Yep.
customer's front
Yep.
lawn. So even
So
more time savings there, right?
more time savings
And money savings.
more money. There we go. Even more time savings.
Now, Gator Base doesn't necessarily fit every job, does it, John?
No, it doesn't. Look, we need really good compactable soils to use this product.
Right. And it's going to shine on limited access sites where, hey, maybe you're going around a row of townhouses to get to the backyard. Maybe
Right.
there's a slope, a retaining wall, established vegetation where you can't get a machine in the backyard.
Limited access.
That's where Gator Base is going to be a home run.
Mhm.
You're definitely going to save a day in a week. That whole idea of you can get 5 days worth of work done in 4 days
Right.
is going to come true. For a job site that has a little more access, new construction or something, it's a trade-off, right?
Right.
You could probably bring your machinery in and do a traditional install, and that would work fine. You might be able to add Gator Base, and even though you can get your machinery in there, you're still going to get done that much faster.
Right.
Save enough time and money to make it worthwhile to use that Gator Base, improve the efficiency of your job site, make your guys a little bit happier,
Oh,
save
for
their
sure.
backs,
Yeah, wear and tear.
whether it's that aggregate that they're not moving,
Mhm.
whether it's being able to stack, slide, and move their pavers into place.
Not as likely to call in sick that day after a long install, right? With the
Yeah. They might get upset when you don't use Gator Base after
Right.
that, though, right?
or a while after a while, if you're using Gator Base, you just tell them to stay home. Tell that guy to stay home.
So Gator Base is a very, very easy installation,
Mhm.
but we understand that, hey, it might be a little bit of an unknown for you, right?
Sure.
You might feel a little bit uncomfortable jumping into your first Gator Base job, and we want to help you.
Look, we have feet on the ground all over North America. So if someone's going to use Gator Base, you're a contractor, you want to use Gator Base, it's the first time, you're not sure, reach out. Whatever the dealer was you bought it from, ask that dealer. If you don't know who your alliance rep is, well, first of all, call us and let us know, because if you're a contractor and you don't know who your alliance rep is, that's another issue. But we want to be out there, feet on the ground with you. That first job, we want to work it with you. We want you to have that warm, fuzzy feeling. Hey, this stuff works. I'm going to use it again.
Yep, and there's little tips and tricks that we can help you with along the way to make sure that job is easy, fast, efficient,
Right.
and really wows you, right?
Right.
Any questions, Rick?
Yes, I do have a couple questions regarding vehicular use for Gator Base.
All
If you
right.
do 8 inches of excavation and build up crushed stone, can you put Gator Base down and drive on it? And then another one was, can you lay Gator Base, stack it too deep?
All right. Well, let's stand up, give John a break.
Oh, don't blame me. I'm
Hey,
fine.
Lou, let's get on that camera. All right. So, can you use Gator Base for a vehicular application? No, right now you can't.
Right.
Vehicular loads are incredible compared to pedestrian loads.
Mm-hmm.
When someone walks on a patio, they're imparting 2, maybe 3 psi to the paver, even less to the ground. When you have a car driving, it's imparting quite a bit of force, 30, 40, 50 psi,
Right.
tons of lateral load. Think about when a car turns into a driveway, John.
Right.
What's happening?
Right. You're getting all sorts of disbursement with that lateral
Right.
load.
It's pushing hard to the side laterally. And then what happens on a driveway? Well, sure, your little Honda Civic goes in there and parks, your
Right.
Prius.
Well,
But
straight in and straight out probably wouldn't be a problem, right?
but what happens when you need an oil delivery or the UPS man shows up?
Sure.
That's a lot more load. So what we're talking about with driveways is much lower margin of safety in installations, and Gator Base just isn't designed to accommodate all the potential scenarios that you could see in a pedestrian driveway. In perfect soils, with a car going straight in, straight out, and hey, I'm sure it could work,
Right.
but it's not designed to, not over-engineered enough to be
Right.
suitable for all kinds of vehicular applications. So
Again, we want optimum success.
Right.
And that's what we're preaching here, optimum success.
So we wouldn't recommend Gator Base for any vehicular applications, even if there is a crushed stone foundation, even if it has very good soils, just not designed for that application in its current form.
What else you got there, Rick?
Can you speak about radiant heat with Gator Base?
Certainly.
All right. So radiant heat with Gator Base. We did mention that Gator Base is an insulator, right?
Yep. It's fantastic with heat.
So where would you put that radiant heat? Above or below, John?
Oh, I'm going to put it below. The radiant heat's going above the Gator Base below. It's going to act as a thermal pad underneath. And you know what? That thermostat's going to shut off quickly once that stuff heats up.
Exactly. So use that Gator Base as a great foundation for your project and a great insulator to keep that heat directed into the paver, melting the snow rather than bleeding off into the earth. I'd say your system should be twice as efficient.
Right. You may even not need it.
I wouldn't go that far, right?
Well, in some instances.
So put your Gator Base panels down, and then you're going to typically bed your heating elements in sand, right? Protect that heating element and provide heat transfer through that sand layer on top, and put your pavers directly on top of that. What else we have, Rick? All right. I think we're good. We did a great job explaining Gator Base, I guess.
I think so.
The key is, use Gator Base where it makes sense. It can save you time and money. Reach out to your Alliance rep if you need a little bit of guidance on estimating that first job, figuring out how much material you need, what components you need to order, and get us out to that job site for that first install.
It is a very simple install, but if we're there helping you, we know that it's going to go right. You're going to feel good about it, and you're going to want to use it again. We can guarantee it.
Yeah. I hear you have a contractor in Maine who's doing this on almost every job, don't you?
I have a contractor in Maine doing this on just about every job. Yes. So whoever that was in New England that says, is this going to work in our climate? Yeah, it is. It's going to work very well in your climate.
And she loves it, right?
She loves
sings
it.
its praises.
Yes, she does. Yes.
And that's what we see over and over again. It's a little bit of a leap of faith to jump into using a foam-based material to support your paver project, but there's closing in on 10 million square feet in the ground across North America.
Wow.
No failures. It's extremely durable. It's extremely forgiving. That Gator Base is going to last practically forever in the ground.
Right.
And it's going to give you a long-lasting install that's even better than a traditional install. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, if you enjoyed this presentation, we've got some pre-recorded shows up on our education portal, alliancegator.com/education. Great information from our blogs, case studies, tips and tricks. So check it out. There is tons of great information.